Greetings once more! Welcome to the Dracovin Empire! Is everybody ready to dive back into the world of Golarion, the Pathfinder role-playing games world? Yes, join me, your host here, Countess Naravan Dracovin, as we're heading for the frozen crown of the world! Yes, we're heading to the very north, the least populated continent of all Golarion. I'll teach you all about it, so make sure to, of course, grab your great swords or long swords, whatever martial weapon you require. Grab some spell books, a holy symbol, maybe a dagger, a healing potion, and remember to do that normal stuff if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, ring the bell, etc., etc. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Because we're going to be plane shifting over to Golarion and into the frozen north of the crown of the world. Take my hand, join with me, heading over there. Ooh, God! Ooh, cold! This frozen north is pretty chilly up here. Still, nonetheless, we've arrived. The crown of the world. We can see ice as far as we can see. Mountains, boreal forests, tundra, strange monsters, and a massive ice pack of glaciers all around. Ice shelves. It is an Arctic. North Pole, an Arctic Circle up here. Welcome to the crown of the world. Now, if I was going to do further research in the crown of the world, what sources would I have? I'm in the wrong slideshow. What sources am I in? I do this kind of thing. Well, one of the major sources, in fact, The Hungry Storm. In the Jade Region book, it's an adventure, as part of that adventure path that takes place throughout the crown of the world, provides a very good snapshot of most of information on it. It's not their only source that we have, but it is a most in-depth source. Though the Inner Sea World Guide and the World Guide from 2nd edition do provide further information for the crown of the world. Already scuffed it in. Don't worry about it. So the crown of the world! What's up there? What is it? Well, for one thing, if we're talking about the continents, it is a continent. Unlike our planet, which has a continent at the bottom pole, or south pole, Golarion has a continent at its north pole. And this continent is connected to two others, TNZ and Avastin. Crown of the world is the least populated continent. It's not necessarily the least traveled, though. People use it to traverse. It's an easy and quick way to go from Avastin to TNZ. We'll talk about it. It's the well-known path of Agahe. Agahe? It's a main trade route. Again, you could take a boat, but this is probably a lot quicker to go across the world. Go over the north. It's a known trade route. It's a good one. So traders, explorers, basically will face the cold to have the shortest routes to reach the other side of the world. That's the main thing that why we have people travel there. Though again, not as many people live there. Now, what's at the crown of the world? This is a map of it, looking from the top down. This is if you were looking at the North Pole, looking down. We can see on the bottom side, on the south of this map, well, bottom of this map, that's where Avastin is. Top is TNZ. They are on the opposite sides of the world. So you can see how you're traversing it to cross it. There are 3 geographical regions based on climate and distance from the north, from south to north, and this is for all circling around it. There's the subarctic outer rim, which borders most of the southerly continents, the polar ice cap known as high ice, and the cold desert surrounding the pole known as the boreal expanse. The continent's southern borders are the Rime-First Mountains, over which lie Avastin, and the Wall of Heaven Mountains, which separate from TNZ. The cold seas separate the crown from Casmeron and Arcadia. So Casmeron and Arcadia, you have seas that separate it out, but yes. There are direct land bridges to 2 of the continents. Despite being known as a frozen waste, it has rivers, mountains, wetlands, forests, other biomes. It isn't just that. Major forests like the White Woods of Marklam, the Malki Forest. There are some ice shelves, the Tashan Yukata, Thermir Shield, many mountain ranges from the Rheinthirst, Wall of Heaven, Hellrung Mountains, Alstrine Peaks. Plenty of other land springs that are there. There is a lot to this Inhabitants. It is more than just frozen waste. Yes, if you're getting up to places like the top, where you have the boreal expanse and the high ice. Those are very, very different regions, which I can kind of define them a little bit better. The Outer Rim is formed from a ring of mostly inhabitable. It's within 5 degrees of the Arctic Circle, roughly equivalent to the mountain ranges from the northern borders and the vast of TMZ. And basically, it is south of the high ice, the permanent glacier. This is the place that has some temperature changes between summer and winter. It is the most suitable for habitation. Its ecology is similar to that of subarctic regions further south, such as Irisen, and the taiga gives way to northward to tundra. Megafauna like caribou, muskox, woolly rhinos, mammoths, wolves, bears call this region homes, water fish, seals, walruses, ogres, trolls, bugbears, frost giants, humans, elves, dwarfs all live in this area. The high ice, the next one up, that's the vast plateau that covers the ice cap from the Arctic Outer Rim to the cold desert of boreal expanse. It's situated on a mile high. It's situated on a mile high massif. It is in some place hides entire mountain ranges under the frozen bulk of its ice cap. It's frozen all year round. It's nearly 2,000 miles across and a mile ice pack. That's thick. Though there are some crevices and openings from glacial shifting that occur. There's little life in comparison to the Outer Rim and the high ice. And there's not many inhabitants. Small animals like foxes, ermites, martens, fishers, lynx, hares, sable retreat to these highlands during summer. Mountain goats live here year long. Lichen and tiny boar worms are ubiquitous. So there are creatures here. A few native humanoids on the high ice, the snowcaster elves are the most common. We'll talk about them. Frost and taiga giants from Urjuk sometimes roam here. Some hunters, hermits, and merchants can be found wandering here. But humans lie by and by unless they're traveling through the path, shun them. And then, of course, the boreal expanse. Yeah, it's the frozen heart of the crown of the world. It's within 5 degrees, 350 miles from the pole. It's inhospitable. But some of the same species in the high ice do find their way and can make their way to live here. There are also naturally occurring portals to elemental planes, especially air and water, making elemental scamps and normal elementals common in this area. The ruins of the Nameless Spires stand at the center of it, leaking black frost into the surrounding ice, the Nameless Spires being an ancient city on the northern pole. It was built by the Samunkar after Golarion was formed, but before Earthborn. Samunkar being a critically endangered species of humanoid from this region. That's the geography you're going to see in Crown of the World. But there are some actual nations and settlements that live here. And most of those nations and settlements belong to the people of the Urutaki. My brain just didn't want to say their name. Urutaki. Not all of them. And most of these nation settlements aren't nations or most of the nations aren't nations the way that you think of them. I think that's an important part about this when we talk about these nations that I'm going to go over. One of them is an actual nation. The rest of these are sort of nations, coalitions. Almhut is a small collection of villages or towns around Cape Almach on the Crown of the World. They have Ulfin heritage. Related to people of the land are the Linorn Kings, but they consider themselves a separate culture. They trade with both the Southern Kin and the Urutaki of one of the other regions. These are just small villages with a shared culture. They're not really a nation, but they have a identity to themselves. Same for the Hasanaliak, which is from one of the forest regions of the Crown of the World. It's the largest population of Urutaki on the continent. Unlike most of their folk, these live in small scattered villages along many of the fertile lakes and rivers. The path of Agahai runs through here, and one of the safer stretches for throughout. So, It is Urataki by culture, but they're a little bit different. They don't have a central government. The villages will frequently consult and cooperate. There's no capital. The largest town is Azaminiak. Azaminiak? I'm probably butchering a lot of these names, so I apologize. I'm not the best at pronouncing things. I'm trying my best. And has a large permanent populace. And they'll trade with Alamat and other colony areas, too. So, the Kori clans are a confederation of Urutaki humans who live the shore of the Gulf of Koriki. The Koriki clans. They trade with some of the other people during the summer months, but during the long northern winter, they shelter in stone burrows beneath the wall of Heaven Mountains. These halls are maintained by the many dwarfs who live alongside them, and the town of Skaralet is the primary settlement for them. Again, it kind of is their capital, but they're a confederation that kind of works together, very loosely. The Osman Confederation, hey, another confederation in the interior of the Crown of the World, centered on Lake Buria. They're semi-nomadic, spending summer months tending to caribou herds on the tundras and returning to villages during the winter. The governing body is an assembly of speakers representing each village who meet in the trade town of Jog. The Ulagor clans are another confederation of Urataki who live on the coast of Par Bay. These settled coastal peoples ply the northern Salton Sea, hunting seals and whales, and their chief village is Tuvar. Again, confederation. Urjuk, the giant downs of Urjuk, is a desolate land of giants of the Crown of the World. North of the Rhine Thirst Mountains, these hills are home to Frost and Taiga giant clans in the region. Most migrate south during into the warmer lands of Vastian or into the grander mountain peaks. Some clanholds remain here. Other giants hunt the high ice as nomads, return here periodically. Many giants return there to be buried. The path of Agahe passes through here, but by ancient treaty, giants don't harm travelers upon its land. So if you stray from the road, though, you're fair game. If you stick on the road, there's an ancient treaty with the giants that live here. It's spelled Yumyzyl. I'm not going to pronounce that correctly. It's a tribal nation of Urataki humans stretching along the Ivory Sea coast of the northwestern feet of the Wall of Heavens, at the edge of the Tashin Yucata ice shelf, located around the town of Kuzav as a de facto capital where people gather annually. But the spiritual center of their culture is the ancient hold of Darknahur. They're avid countries of the Narwhals, Warises, and Belugas. And the only true nation of these nations is the dwarven hold of Zaventengor, or Gura. It's the most heavily populated area in the Crown of the World. It's the only centralized nation, located in the stained peaks of northern Avastian, located north of Avastian, down to the coast on the Klopad Gulf. The dwarven inhabitants heavily mine their mountain home for metal, constructing iron castles. As a result of their mining, there is some toxic slag in some areas. The Gurin dwarfs trade with their neighbors, especially the Urataki humans in Spar River. Their sailors from Zaventon Gura fish the Shining Sea. Fungus farmers complement their diets. In their legend, the nearby hills of mournful calling are haunted by their ancestors who once ruled the land until they were overrun by giants. The Zunderwall Hold, which is there, is a long-fallen dwarven fortress nearby in the stained peaks, which kind of help keep that legend going. Their capital is Vishay Sra. So, it's warmed by powerful coal forges. It's where the nation's ruler makes home. It is on the coast of the Shining Sea. So there is a full nation. Now, beyond these coalitions of there and this one nation, there are some independent villages, which are there on their own. We can talk about, we know 3 of them. There are probably other independent villages which exist out there. Again, most of them are Urataki. Some of them can have other mixed heritages. The 3 that we can talk about is Ikawalite. built into the side of the Asken Ridge on the south boundary of the high ice, some miles west of the path. It's a small village protected by the cliffs, and travelers can pass through. The Ul Angaron is another small town lying on the shores of the Salt Sea Lake. It's the largest settlement of Urataki humans in the Rune Uva Basin. It's a resting spot for caravans along the path between the high ice and the Overkaki Pass, which is the this is the pass, part of the pass that descends from the high ice into the TNZ. So, it's a prosperous town for its size, and it is on its own. And then the Omino is a trade town on the Crown of the World, on the eastern Horwell March. It's constructed on mounds built into the bluffs of the shore of Lake Yamakwek near the Alask Ridge, and again connected to the path of Age. It's basically, some of these small independent villages exist because they are connected to the path. They're close enough to it that the traders and stuff that go through there can help supply them, making these small towns and villages basically be able to exist in larger numbers because of the connections to trade, and because of the, and Omino is the kind of opposite. It's the one that's going into Evastian. I said about the one that was on the other side. These places are connected to the path, and the path makes them that. And that's why we have to talk about the path. It is one of the most notable things here. The path of Agihi is a major trade route. We've kind of talked about it. It was discovered by Tian explorer Amatsu Agihi around 1300 AR. His maps were destroyed. They resurfaced around 430 AR, leading to increased trade between the two continents. The path is a viable trade route. Completing it requires the aid of skilled guides. It's actually two overlapping trade routes. One connected to the successor states of Lung Hua, and then the other to the realm of the Mammoth Lords and the Southern Passage. The other carrying travelers from Minkai to the lands of the Linarm Kings. The latter road begins in Honkai and Tianzi, crossing the Wall of Heaven through Altanzud, climbs the high ice in Overkier Pass, descends the outer rim at Corpsen Gap, and is rarely stable through Hasenlap and Urgit before climbing the Rhymesmith Mountain. From there, branches crossing the Stormspear Hills, ending in Kalsgard in the west, 20 miles to Tundra Ice Stair in the east. So yes, this path is one of the major features. There are some other features you can find here, other sites, other ancient halls, other ancient ruins, the Akakul Necropolis, Glacial Rift of the Dragons, Tharm's Breath, Dead Man's Dome, Fated Hall of Longrim. So there are things to discover there beyond just taking it there. But it's a harsh and deadly environment if you are traveling the Crown of the World. Remember, we have the region that's kind of semi-habitable where most people live. A giant glacier where you don't really have people living permanently, and then a frozen desert at the center of it. It is not a pleasant place to live overall. Dangerous and deadly one. People there are tough SOBs who handle themselves constantly and are really good at surviving. Now this is one of the Ilvenerai elves, but despite the conditions here, the Urutaki humans and the Urutai elves are the main two humanoid species that find their lives, their life here, that have found their way to survive. You get other little cultures and stuff, like some Wolfins that have traveled through some of the edges there. The Mitsuzaki catfolk are also found primarily across here, of species of catfolk. Most of the people in the Crown of the World, if we're talking about the people that live here, are communities, these tribal confederations I talked about. Really, you only get the Dwarven nation as being decentralized. So you get the dwarfs there too. So you've got dwarfs, you've got the elves, you've got the humans, you've got the catfolk. The dwarfs have their nations. Everybody else is these tribal groups that thrive, and they tend to be very peaceful with each other. They've got better problems to deal with than fighting each other most of the time. Creatures such as white dragons, frost giants, wendigos, remoras, all inhabit the frozen continent. Life holds ruins of the Samarin Kar, known as the Nameless Spires I mentioned before, and and contain the great evil beneath, built to contain great evil beneath the ice. Many miles below the nameless spires lies yet another mysterious city whose inhabitants and founders are unknown, which once sat at the surface of Golarion, but now is only accessible through tunnels in Second Mina. So, yes, in the areas below, in Second Mina, heading down into the Darklands, you can access an ancient city in the Crown World. Legend do tell of a White Legion, an army of Frostwights gathering the Crown of the World, purpose unknown, but fears they are league with Baba Yaga and her witch daughters. That's legend. Yeah. So, yeah. That's the Crown of the World. We'll leave that there. That was a good little deal. And the thing is here, I think I wanted to do this video because I thought about it and I decided to do it because the only thing we can ever do to get more information on the Crown of the World is get more information on some of these settlements and nations. And I don't tend to do a lot of individual settlement videos, but like if one day we explore one of these nations a lot more, like the Dwarven nations certainly, or even some of these confederacies, it would be very interesting to explore them. We might get more, but it is the kind of place that is inhospitable. There are adventures to have here. There's, of course, traveling along the pathway that leads from one continent to another, traveling from Avastian to TNZ, or the reverse. The path of Aganhe is an important trade route. So plenty of adventure could be centered around that. But there's all these ancient ruins, ancient cultures, strange places that could be found. The fact that the Saman Ka still technically exist is an important thing to talk about. Now, again, their population is nearly gone. Very small. But they were an ancient empire that once existed here on this continent. Maybe before the ice ever formed. There's so much of the ancient history linked to this place. Because, was it some kind of geological change that created the ice here? Was it Earthfall, which caused the ice to form here? There are so many questions related to this that we may never have the true answers for about the secrets of the Crown of the World, the ancient secrets. But for now, we have a view of this world, of very hardy, stocky people living here, of a place that, if you want to find your some wealth and some success, you might travel the Great Road. There are many reasons to explore here, many reasons for people to travel. And it creates this very powerful trade route that is, yeah, overland is easier than across the ocean. Sailing from one side of the world to another, kind of difficult, kind of very difficult. But yeah, you can just walk there. Just get a trade caravan, have it go across. Definitely dangerous. Get a good guide, but you can face these dangers. This place, monsters, possibly dangerous giants, depending on where you're at. Plenty of strange creatures and people that will honestly probably be friendly to you. Most of the people here, as long as you don't mess with them, they're probably going to be okay with it. Because they don't need you. And it's probably a terrible idea to, mess around and get, in trouble. Better be friendly than dangerous to each other, because there's plenty of great things that will get you killed, and the weather will just be warm. Alright, we'll leave that there. Hey, remember to do all those sort of things. If you want to check out more of my stuff, you can always check out my schedule over on Twitter, Discord, Twitter/X, Discord, YouTube. I lay out when I'm live on Twitch, when I'm uploading video on YouTube. If there's a change to any of those times or updates on those days, if I have to move things around, I let you know on my social media, Discord, X, yeah. Remember, if you are in one of those places, if you're over joining me on Twitch, hey, follow would be nice. Join me on YouTube. Like, subscribing, ringing the bell. It's great. Have you done any adventures in the Crown World? That's my question for you today, because Certainly speaking, you could have done the Jade Region Adventure Path. I haven't done that one. I've thought about doing it. I've looked into it, but I've never ran it or played it. I don't know if I still will. Who knows? The future may. But still, nonetheless, the Jade Region is a very interesting one and one of the main ones. But that might be the only time that we venture to this place, the Arctic Circle of here, the Arctic continent of Golarion. Have you been here? What adventures did you have? Friends. Remember to check out, of course, 2 things I can shout out. Crimson Queen, Wednesdays at 8, live play of Pathfinder 1st Edition, and Discussing Tabletop, Saturdays at 6, a tabletop discussion show. We go over news of the week, deeper discussion topics, and more. Alright, everybody, I'm going to get going. I'm going to maybe hang on Twitch a little bit, maybe do some more videos. Regardless, thank you for joining me. I thank you for coming along on this adventure and learning about this interesting place that I wanted to talk about, because, you know, it's a continent. There are technically nations there. There's things to talk about, and it's a very interesting place in a very living world. Till the next time we talk about anything related to Golarion, anything related to Pathfinder, anything related to any RPG, tabletop topic, I bid all of you a deep and wonderful farewell.